because there were so many deserving nominees this year, PCA is recognizing a Center City Newcomer and 2 Center City Champions. The Center City Newcomer is an individual who may be new on the scene, but has had an immediate impact on our community, is an emerging leader within PCA, and is on track to be a future Center City Champion. The Center City Champion is an individual who has continuously gone above and beyond, making a lasting impact on our community, and someone who has made outstanding contributions, again, to advancing the quality of life and furthering the renaissance of our downtown Phoenix neighborhood. So let's get right to it. Now we move to our Center City Champion Award recipients, and I would like to invite Rick Naimark, 2017 Center City Star Award recipient, to introduce first of 2 champions today.
Thank you, Devney. Usually when I get on a stage lately, I sing, but you already had a pretty great singing group. So if you want to hear me sing, come to Festivus tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and I'll be out there. But I do get to sing somebody's praises, which I'm really excited about. I want to introduce you to a remarkable human being, or reintroduce you. When I had the opportunity to call this awardee about being named a Center City Champion, they were truly shocked, surprised, humbled, and grateful. And this reaction does not surprise me in the least. This person is one of the hardest workers for our downtown community of anyone I know, and they're definitely not in it for the recognition. This person is a native Arizonan, but came to the Valley in 1989. And in their marketing and events career, they worked virtually with almost every city and town in the Valley, but really hadn't spent a lot of time in Phoenix, and particularly in downtown. And so they wanted to explore a little bit what downtown might have to offer. And in 2003, discovered the historic Roosevelt District in downtown, and really realized what kind of a community it is and was, even back then, with lots of people who are just committed to making this a better place, like all of you in this room. They were looking at, they weren't just living there, they were involved in helping to guide the future development of the community. They cared about good architecture and public spaces, and were supporters of artists. This person was immediately hooked and wanted to contribute to downtown's story, which has now sparked a decades-long love affair and journey of community building and focusing on how downtown can become a unique contributor, not just to Arizona, but to the nation and the world. So the first downtown meeting this person went to was a PCA meeting in 2003. And that began a relationship that lasted more than 20 years that helped them realize what a critical role arts and culture are in the community building that they were observing. And so this person dove in and has a demonstrated and unparalleled record for advancing arts and culture, not just in downtown, but throughout the state. And yes, I'm talking about Catrina Kahler. So Catrina, I've had the opportunity to work very closely with Catrina. If you haven't, you got it, because she is committed, creative, caring, and compassionate. And it's very evident in the work that she's done over the years on behalf of the downtown Phoenix community, including helping to develop and launch the Phoenix Public Market, publishing the Downtown Phoenix Journal, helping to develop and then later serving on, still serves on, the board of the Hans Park Conservancy. And the role she's most recognized for, of course, is her 14-year involvement with ArtLink, an artist-forward organization that she's led to new heights. I had the good fortune of being on her board and being her board chair, and so I know firsthand how committed she is to the artists of our community. She always remembers the artists. And as her board chair, of course, I enjoy the opportunity to work for her. I don't know if she would call herself an artist, but Catrina is one of the most creative people I know. She approaches complex issues in really interesting ways. You heard her talk about it in her committee. And of course, you know she chairs our Arts, Culture, and Public Life Committee, which is really engaged and active, which is fantastic. Catrina does not do anything halfway. She's committed to this mission, and she finds ways to advance it at all times. Just witness this year's Noche en Blanco, which she really was the architect of. So if you don't already know Catrina, you ought to get to know her. She's great to work for. She will get you involved. She will get you inspired. And she will work alongside you to get lots of great things done. So Matt was talking about New Year's resolutions. Your New Year's resolution is to spend more time with Catrina Kahler. And if Chad is the king of collaboration, Catrina is the queen of arts.
Rick, I can't thank you enough. My favorite employee. No, I'm just kidding.
Leslie's like, what?
No. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's like a past, present, future here. Not to date myself, but yeah, it's been over 20 years involved in downtown. It's a very personal journey. And I just couldn't do it without so many people in this room. I just kind of want to go like to every table and remember that time we met? Or remember that time we did that thing and we did this? It really is a family in the room. And but I have to name a few people right off the bat, because if I don't mention them, I won't like that. I mean, PCA, the journey started with you. Technically, it was the Roosevelt neighborhood. Chris Lowry, for those of you who remember Chris Lowry with Lofts at Fillmore, brought me to a PCA meeting. And my eyes just opened wide. And it was Don Keith. Don and Jo Marie McDonald, and from there it just, yes, the love affair, thank you, went on from there. I have an amazing team, one of whom has been a teammate for many, many years, over 10 years, Leslie Krieger.
Yeah, Leslie!
The right hand of Artling, but really my own right hand. Melissa Farley, recording as we speak. Thank you, Melissa. The PCA team, the current team, Diane, Devney, wherever Devney, Leah, Tan, wherever you are, my gosh. I mean, all things, right? Patrick, Brandon, I see RJ in the room. It's a family. And it's been 20 years in downtown, but it's been 15 years of a wonderful marriage. And my husband, Chris Kahler, is here today. Thank you. It's been an amazing 20 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 20, to be honest. I think I was asked recently, what's ahead of us? And I look ahead, and I look right across the room at our current board chair, Mr. Oscar de la Salas, who's like future forward, right? It's all about what's next and what's coming. Another board member in the room, I think, Steve Lindley. Hi, Steve. We met through PCA. The future is beautiful in every sense of the word. We're going to build a beautiful city together. It's beautiful people in the room who are committed to this city. And in the committee update, I've already talked about the importance of a creative city in arts and culture. It is the contribution of artists that we cannot replicate. We cannot. The heart and soul of this community is just put in front of us most visibly because of the creative community. We are going to continue to support them and find new ways to integrate them into every fabric, every corner of what we do. It's already in our DNA. The artists, I've been contributing for so long as PCA has been around. I mean, ArtLink has been around for nearly as long. PCA actually served as the fiscal agent for ArtLink when it was formed. So the histories of these organizations have intertwined just beautifully over the past few decades. When I first met ArtLink, it was in a downtown Phoenix partnership meeting. And these artists got up in the front of the room and they were talking about arts and culture in the most beautiful of ways. Not only were they artists, but they were talking about arts and culture as a whole. It wasn't that you had to do a certain type or live in a certain area. It was like the whole conversation. And I admired them for that. I had no idea what ArtLink was. And I met with RJ's predecessor, Lisa Milano. This is like 2004, Downtown Phoenix Partnership. I said, what is this organization? What's it all about? She said, you're going to be leading it someday. I had no idea what she was talking about. I had no idea. And it was literally nearly a decade later that came to be. I didn't write that down. It wasn't like in my diary, someday I'm going to lead ArtLink. It wasn't anything like that. It just happened. So I am just, yes, humbled, yes, honored to be introduced by Mr. Rick Naimark. The Renaissance man is a memory I will cherish forever, and to be honored by this organization is something I will never, ever, ever forget. I am just filled with love. I am just so honored to be standing alongside two amazing award recipients. I love you both, and have had the joy of working with each of you, and it's just, beyond anything I could comprehend. So thank you so, so much, and thank you, PCA.
Congratulations, Catrina. Now to announce our other Center City Champion Award recipient would Matt Seaman and Billy, I just ruined it, I just teased it. Would Matt Seaman and Brian Cassidy, our Central City Planning Development Committee chairs, our new committee chairs. I was announcing our former committee chair. As of today, this just changed and happened. You approved it a few minutes ago. I'm still getting my head around it. Matt and Brian, please join me on stage. Brian, also a 2019 Center City Star Award recipient, to announce our incredibly deserving next recipient.
Thank you, Devney, and wow, Catrina and Chad, congratulations. So I wish we could do 10 of these a year because there's so many good people that have made an incredible contribution. We're going to introduce somebody that's made one of the longest and most in-depth contributions ever to downtown. I'm going to tell you who it is right now. It's Billy Shields. That is out of the bag. And if you don't know it, Billy has been advocating and doing things in downtown for about 44 years, so since 1980. Who was not even born yet in 1980 in this room? Yeah, half of you. That shows you the depth of what he's done. He's done it in so many different manners, quietly. And matter of fact, he has done so many things for downtown, it's going to take two of us to introduce him. That's how much he has done. So I've known Billy for probably 15 to 20 years now. He started out as a firefighter, and he was stationed on Station 1 in downtown, and it is no longer there, but it is now the Fry's Food Store, our very first downtown grocery store. And he also, as a young kid, came downtown and shopped at Penny's, and Penny's used to be on that same block at one point. We used to actually have big retailers downtown. So he's been here his whole life, made a great contribution. And I'll tell you just a couple bullet points about what Billy has done for us. And he does it quietly quite often. He has supported every bond election and every transit initiative we've had since 1980. That's a lot, quite a bit. He has supported all the Hans Park initiatives to grow the park. Matter of fact, in 1980, Hans Park wasn't built yet. So that's how old you are, Billy. It's been 44 years, and we hope we get at least 44 more out of you going forward. But he supported those initiatives. He was instrumental working with Mayor Phil Gordon many years ago to help convince ASU to come downtown. Now, I would advocate and say that bringing ASU downtown is one of the biggest catalysts this city's ever had and ever will have. It put us over the top, and Billy was part of that. He also served on a whole bunch of committees. One of them, he's been on the Planning and Zoning Commission. He's been on the city's Board of Adjustments. He has been on the city's Design Review Committee, the DRC. He has been on the Fire Safety Advisory Board, the FSAB. These are committees that do a lot of work in the trenches. They do the hard work so that we all benefit from that. And he just has served admirably multiple terms on all these things. And he is our co-chair of the City Center Planning and Development Group, and he's done a really, really good job over the years. And he's rotating off, but he's got a lot of good stuff. And he's also been instrumental in the Lures block as part of the Hanji group. You'll see more of that in just a minute. But I want to tell, I have time for one Billy story. It goes back 11 years ago. 11 years ago, then Mayor Stanton contacted a handful of people that work in my favorite part of the town, the warehouse district, and said, you know what? You should get together and get organized. Things are starting to happen down there. So we all agreed to start getting active, and we called for a meeting, and 8 of us showed up in July at a new bar called The Deuce. And if you've been to The Deuce, it's not air conditioned. So 8 of us that were people that lived and worked or owned buildings in the warehouse district got together in July, drinking Schlitz, trying to create a vision of how to advance the warehouse district. And I can tell you, 8 people, 8 different ideas going 8 different directions. And Billy stepped in. He was one of those 8. And here's what Billy did. He says, there's another new bar downtown. Let's meet there next week. So the next week we meet at this new, very cool bar in downtown. And they had great cocktails. They had great appetizers, and they had air conditioning. And it just made all the difference. And what Billy did for us as the leaders of the warehouse district, he got all 8 of us rowing in the same direction. And since then, we formed the Warehouse District Council. And without your intervention, that simple touch that you have, that would not have happened. So thank you for that, Billy. Now, Matt, I told you it's going to take 2 people to introduce this guy. He's done so much. Matt, you're up next.
Well, this means a lot that I get to be part of this introduction. Billy asked me to co-chair the Central City Planning and Development Committee in 2018. And as we talked about earlier, Mike Lieb and Billy formed this committee over 20 years ago. And it really became one of the strongest community committee meetings with developers and planners. And I, at the time, was an entry-level planner, not yet call myself a developer. I would call in sick at my job so that I could come down to these meetings. And that's where I met Billy. And so today, I've gotten to know him as a friend, and through the Central City Planning and Development Committee, we celebrate a lot of buildings that are proposed, but a lot of times we forget or we don't celebrate the people behind them. And so we've got something to show you here that I think some of you will like to see. So you see in the top right of that slide, the Lures block. This was established in 1924, so 100 years. I think it's pretty special that we're here honoring you today after that 100 years. Billy and his partners at the Hanji Corporation, they were the fingerprints behind the transformation of Lures City Center. This is a difficult task with redevelopment in a downtown. There are a lot of other easier ways to make money in this business, and it takes someone who is passionate about not only the projects and the redevelopment, but the home that these buildings will serve, the small businesses that are starting, the offices, the residents in these towers. And you didn't hear a whole lot about his name in there or his company's name because it's about what they did with this building. So, by the way, there's also a 20-story, 320-room Marriott hotel that they developed right on the backside of this. And this is going to be quite a legacy that you and your group, Billy, have left downtown. And he's part of the Singhai Historic Restaurant ownership group with some pretty exciting plans that we're going to hear about later. But I want to take this time to introduce our 2024 Center City champion, my friend and my mentor, Billy Shields.
Yeah, Billy.
Brian, thank you so much. These two guys are, in their own right, incredible in their contributions to downtown. I think Brian is probably, I don't know if anybody keeps track of these things, but as an architect in his firm, CCPG, probably designed more buildings, definitely in the modern era than any other architects group. And Brian moved his office downtown before downtown was moving, because he saw it coming. And the same with Matt. Matt had to engineer a for-sale housing product because you couldn't get financing on it. And he worked with the communities. He moved his family down to Roosevelt Road. These guys have been incredible to work with, and I've learned so much from them. So thank you. And thank all of you, and thank the PCA for this award. I was taken aback when Larry Lazarus called me to inform me that I was being honored with this award. And I was very humbled because, you see, I've known personally or known really well everybody that's ever won this award, and I never expected to get it. And so some of them, like Larry and Mo Stein, Marty Schultz, they were there at the founding of the PCA, and they're still involved today. And I have so much respect for these guys and gals. So I humbly thank you. I feel unworthy of this honor. I feel very attached to downtown, as I've spent so much of my life here on the streets and in these buildings. And I also want to say, in the Lure City, sir, my partner Raj Hanji is the true visionary there. When he bought that block of buildings, I didn't even know him. It was a blighted block of buildings. The two high-rises, historic, 1924 and 1928. The 1924 building was the Lure's building. It was completely gutted and empty at the time. The Lure's Tower was a haven for bail bondsmen, and it still had a few older attorneys' offices there, but it was 40% occupied. And there was no light rail at that time. There was no ASU downtown. And so you think about the vision that Raj has to say, this can be a special place again, because the Lure's center was the heart of the city for so long. And so my hat's off to Raj, who's an amazing individual. I also want to say thanks to my wife Laura and my daughter Erica for being here and supporting me in everything I ever do. As Brian said, as a small kid, we came down here. You came to downtown. You shopped here. You ate here. You went to Woolworth's and got a soda at the soda fountain. You paid your bills here. And my father was a fire captain. Actually, this fire station that is on Hance Park, keep your eyes on it because it has been vacant. But it's going to be opened up to the park. It's going to be a fabulous activation for the park. My father worked at that fire station for many, many years. I remember so many times coming down here when this was all a residential neighborhood around here. And then, of course, I worked down here for 30 years, and I just sort of crawled around every nook and cranny, and a lot of the buildings that are gone, I remember. How many people remember when Jefferson Street went straight from Central to 7th Street, and it didn't curve around what would become the convention center? That took out so many historic buildings, by the way, which is very sad, but it is a sign of the past. I know Marty remembers. There is a thing about making a difference, and you can do it individually. It's really, really hard. But when you do it with an organization, your effectiveness is exponentially increased. And that is really the story of downtown. And there's a poem by Wendell Berry, And he writes, so friends, every day, do something that won't compute. Love the Lord. Love the world. Work for nothing. Take all you have and be poor. Love someone who does not deserve it. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Plant sequoias. What a thought. You know, sequoias take 450 years to grow to maturity. Now, of course, there's beauty and shade and habitat that's created along the way. There's benefit for the earth, benefit for future generations. But you plant a sequoia, you're not going to see it sprout and grow. And I love this thought. What a vision to hold when we're going about what we do. Perhaps we should talk in terms of planting red pistachios downtown, because they thrive so well down here. And we're going to see them get to maturity, hopefully, Roger, at 10, 20 years. But trees that mature in 10 to 20 years, and they're beautiful. But plant sequoias. Plant sequoias. One of the main ways downtown has evolved is reflected in the makeup of the organizations that shepherd and care for it. From 1950 to 1982, it was the Charter Government Committee. Remember that, Marty?
I do.
Yeah, you remember everything. So these are the names like the Goldwaters, the Rosenzweigs, the Schweitzers, and the Driggses. They had a great run until 1982. And in 1982, the voters of Phoenix passed what was known then and still known as the district system of election. And that was really passed by organizations that got together. And one of them I was involved in, the firefighters union, the police union, really organized and funded that campaign. And Terry Goddard headed it up. And this created a different system, because under an at-large system, all the councilmen represent the whole city. And the days were gone when that worked. Phoenix was too big. And so you had the district system. And now you knew, you lived in this home, you lived in a neighborhood, you knew who your city council person was. And it also opened up the door for people like teachers and realtors and neighborhood advocates and even firefighters, retired firefighters and police, for God's sake, could now get elected to the city council. And the first mayor was Terry Goddard. And Terry Goddard threw open the doors of City Hall. I remember at what was the old convention center, he held the Phoenix Futures Forum. He invited everyone in the city to come, just come. And lots and lots and lots of people came. And one of the things, it was for planning the future of the city. Whoever did that, whoever just said, everybody come help. And Terry did that. And one of the things that came out of that was the concept of the villages, the village concept that we're still growing and planning under today. So there was important sequoia planted there. But after that time, charter government committees sort of faded. There was a bit of a dearth. And then Jerry Colangelo, Marty, Larry Lazarus, I think Mo Stein was involved. They said, we're missing this organization now. And so they created the Downtown Partnership, which is funded by a tax on the building owners to provide services, like our Clean and Green team, plants trees, red pistachio trees. And they formed the PCA because PCA was different. It was an advocacy group. It could advocate. Downtown Partnership can advocate. And it could be membership driven. And people could be involved in that. So that became an organization. And they planted some sequoias, man. I mean, they built the Suns Arena. They built the Diamondbacks. They did an expansion of the Civic Plaza, laid the groundwork for the light rail. And they did some amazing work. But as things go, times change. Jerry sold the sports teams. A lot of the corporate headquarters that used to be here left the state. And so there was a dearth again. And PCA kept functioning. And then there was the DPI, Downtown Phoenix Incorporated. And it was really Mayor Phil Gordon's idea is we need sort of to bring these organizations together for efficiencies and overlap of their agendas. And Dave Kreider, as the first CEO of DPI was able to do that. And I remember the meetings about merging the three organizations. And there was much consternation about this because some people wanted an escape valve, right? It's hard to do change, right? Sometimes we don't do change well. And at one of the meetings, Larry Lazarus said, you know, folks, we just have to do this. And we all know we have to do it. And the only way to do it is to beach the boats and burn them.
Burn the boats.
No turning back. No turning back. And that's what we did. And today, I'm so amazed at this organization. Well, because the story of the early development of Phoenix is the powerful, the moneyed, the white men, actually, to be honest. And you look around you. This is a diverse organization. Everything that comes out of this, all the work product that comes out of this organization is better today because of the diversity, because of the inclusiveness, because your voice matters, your idea matters. It's not some people with cigars. Maybe that's a bad way to say it because it's so overused, but it's not the good old boys in the back room with all the money and all the power. It's you. You're deciding this. And so, you know, this is your organization. And get involved in it. Make it whatever it is you care about downtown and you want to make better. Bring your energy. Bring your ideas to one of the committees. Propose a new committee. You can do that here, but be involved. You know, plant your sequoias. Be a part of the planting of sequoias or red pistachio trees. You know, whatever it is, plant some trees. Be a part of the downtown strategic vision and plan. This is very exciting. It's been mentioned a couple of times tonight, but all our committees will be involved in this. This hasn't been done since 2004. Downtown Voices Coalition did an update to it in 2010. But this is the roadmap, and it will dovetail with the general plan and so many other planning efforts that our wonderful planning department is working on here. And so be involved in these things. And there's really nothing but opportunity here. And I'm so proud and grateful to be a part of this organization, even just the social aspect of it and the wonderful people that I've gotten to meet and work with. And so from the bottom of my heart, I thank you and for this incredible award, and I want to encourage you. Just as Tim Sprague, Larry Lazarus, the Hants Park Coalition are doing, they're planting a tree there. They're planting a sequoia tree at Hants Park. Plant your own. Thank you for this award.